Well, hello, all my little cozy cuties. Welcome to a little show and tell of what I'm working on right now. If we haven't met yet, I am Leah, and I have a handmade clothing business called Darwin Textiles. I design and sell 100% linen clothing, like made to your custom measurements, and I also sell sewing patterns of my designs so you can DIY it at home, and I sell my fabric as well. So that's the short version of what I do. To orient you real quick, I am currently living in Philadelphia, and that's where we're sitting right now, is in my cozy little sewing room studio. I'm looking out my window. It's gross outside. It is thoroughly slushy and cold and pretty uninspiring for life. So I have been having to do a lot of little pep talks, little pep moments for myself, drinking warm tea, and I go to a yoga studio doing some hot yoga, just anything I can. I booked a trip to Florida in a few weeks, just trying to keep the spirit alive. Luckily, within my Charlie Darwin world, I have a lot of fun creative projects that I'm working on right now to keep me inspired in any sort of way. So I hope you have something too in your life if you're living in the sort of bleak winter life with me. I hope you find something that gives you a little jazzy joy and makes you forget for a second about how stupid it is outside. All right, so anyway, I am really excited to show you what I've been working on lately. I'm going to call this my spring goals and projects because I am hopeful that spring is going to be happening soon. Kind of what's cooking in the Charlie Darwin studio. So the first thing I want to tell you about is probably also like the biggest project I'm working on right now, and that is digitizing and publishing the sewing pattern for my Sanctuary Jumpsuit. So for every clothing design I have, and I make and sell on my website as clothing, as handmade by me, I'm slowly working on digitizing each of those sewing patterns. So about a year ago, I launched this jumpsuit that I'm wearing right now. It's called the Sanctuary Jumpsuit. It's super flowy, super epic and dramatic, and the best part is it's incredibly comfortable, which is a big thing for me, and I know it is for a lot of you as well. So now about a year later, I've chosen this jumpsuit as my next sewing pattern to publish, and I am so excited about it. I'm about, I'd say like halfway, maybe a little bit further through the process of getting it ready for you guys. I'm not sure how many of you know what all goes like into creating and publishing a sewing pattern, and I'm sure it differs for different pattern makers. But for me, what I have done so far is I digitized the pattern, I graded it for 9 different sizes, got those print files all organized and looking really good. Then I've also finished writing up all the instructions and doing the illustrations for the instructions. Then I sent all of that out to my pattern testers, and I'm having people test it across all 9 sizes. And they range, the pattern testers, from like beginner sewists, someone this was their first garment they were ever sewing, which is a good litmus test for, am I writing the instructions clear enough for a true beginner to make this their very first time? And spoiler alert, yes, she already gave me her feedback and she said it went well. And I'm excited. I'm starting to get some of their feedback rolling, getting their photos as well of what they created, and everything's looking so cute and fun. They had genuinely like important feedback. Some of my measurements weren't adding up correctly, so we've gotten some good fixes so far for that. And then last week I filmed the sew along video tutorial to accompany the pattern. I still need to edit it, and another part that's done are the photos, because I took all the main product photos for this jumpsuit design last year when I launched it as a garment. So we're definitely getting there. As I get pattern tester feedback in, I'm going to start making those adjustments and polishing this whole thing up. I also need to create the pattern hub, which is sort of like an online workshop. If you opt into that level of the sewing pattern, you can either get just the PDF, you can get like the sewing workshop, or you can get the full sewing kit, which includes fabric and notions and stuff like that in addition to the workshop. So I kind of have to work on all those different levels, prepare my fabrics to be dyed ahead of time, all that stuff. That's what I'm working on for the pattern. But as far as the design itself, I think there's a lot I'm excited for to be experimenting with, to be able to show you guys what's possible with this pattern. So, for example, the clothing that you can buy on my website is those garments I try and make like simple and repeatable and also cost effective because they're made to measure, custom size. I keep it to more of like a simple repeatable system. But for this sewing pattern, I know you're going to be doing it at home, and there's like, if you're just making a one-off, there's so many cool things and variations that you could do with this design. And so I'm kind of trying to brainstorm those. And so things I'm considering on this pattern are like the pant length, because I think that like the billowy drapey legs on this jumpsuit are so epic and dramatic, and they feel a little bit more formal though, something I would wear to a little bit nicer event, maybe as a wedding guest or a night out. But I think this jumpsuit would also look really cute and flowy, easygoing with shorts, make it, I guess you call that more like a romper. So I had some of my pattern testers try just a shorts variation of it. I think that turned out super cute. And then another thing I played around with on my sample was adding, let me show you up close, was adding faux fray into my neckline of my bodice. And that's just like the selvage edge of my fabric being incorporated into when I sew the bias binding. And I think it gives like an extra really cool texture there. I have a whole other video about incorporating the selvage edge of your fabric into your designs. This is a whole fourth new way that's not in that video, so I'm excited to show you guys that incorporated into the pattern. So those are some just like general design fun concepts I'm playing around with tweaking. But beyond that, for my own personal sample, I'm also basically kind of double dipping here because I'm going to my cousin's wedding in April, and it has a formal dress code, which like I'm excited about because I love getting super dressed up. But also, like, I don't know about you, but I never have a great time wearing like the traditional super formal clothes. I feel like unless you're getting something that is made in like a natural fiber like silk, basically almost all formal clothes are like polyester, and they're so plasticky and they're so tight, and there's always zippers, and I hate zippers. Like all of these things are sequins, and when you like rub your arm against the sequins, you're like, it hurts and it scratches you, and like, it's like a sensory nightmare in my opinion. I am a kind of sensitive to the touch type of person, but that like has got to annoy more people than just me. And I also feel like formal wear, it's like you can wear it once and then you're like, where am I ever gonna wear this again? Like, what am I doing with this? And then it sits in your closet until you might pull it out again in like 5 years or not. You give it to Goodwill. And honestly, at like big social events like this, I kind of like to like flex my aesthetic and my values a little bit, not just because I'm a clothing designer, but even if I'm wearing someone else's clothes, I want to like give off my vibe, you know, like my accurate vibe, and like shiny sequins isn't necessarily my vibe, and so I don't want to be like squished into that. And I kind of like the challenge for formal events to like find the right way to showcase like my earthy, boho, flowy, fun aesthetic, and while showing off fabrics that are like super eco-friendly and sustainable and like earth conscious. I think that all just elevates my sense of self at these events, which can sometimes feel a little bit like vulnerable. And like as you're like, you know, go into a fun event, you want to like feel really in your own skin and feel socially comfortable and happy in your own body and feel beautiful. So that's what I'm going for. And so I really want to use my Sanctuary Jumpsuit pattern to make myself just the right garment for this. I specifically designed this jumpsuit to be able to like dress up or dress down depending on how you style it. It's got enough drama to it to definitely be able to shine as a formal sort of gown, even though it's a jumpsuit with pant legs. I'd love to hear in the comments, what is your biggest pet peeve about formal wear, formal dresses, formal clothes, or like what is the most uncomfortable thing that you've ever worn to a wedding? I really do want to hear it. Let us know down in the comments so we can all commiserate together. Okay, so for my challenge of pushing my Sanctuary jumpsuit as formal as I can, I first had to decide on what color I wanted to do, and I could have technically done any fabric. I tried to stick with my plant-dyed linens. They are so beautiful, so rich, so earthy, so simple and clean. The colors I think I look the best in with my skin tone are black and my dark chestnut gray. But this is an April wedding, so I kind of ruled those out. Those felt very like October type of wedding. Not poo-pooing anyone who wants to wear black in April. I say wear black all the time, but I thought, okay, I have all these options. Let me choose a lighter one. I'm not a huge fan of my light pink or my light brown with my skin tone. And then dark indigo and light indigo were pretty high on my options, but I ultimately opted to go with my tea gray, which is like a medium gray color. I really wanted to do white, if we're being honest. I wanted to do my off-white color because I think it like looks the most elegant and fancy, but like, duh, that's why the bride wears it. So yeah, obviously I can't wear white to someone's wedding. That's what I'm wearing right now, is the off-white. So I was like, fine, I'll go a shade darker. And I chose my gray, which I think ultimately I decided I thought this color would go the best with the accessories and stuff that I want to wear. I think I want to pair this gray color with gold, with some like gold embellishments and accessories. And I think that'll look really pretty. So I'll show you what I'm thinking for that in just a second. And like I showed you, I did do the selvage edge neckline because I think that adds a little bit more texture and it'll look really good with my kind of jewelry hanging down in the V-neck area. And then what I'm really excited to try is I'm thinking about on these pant legs, on these big billowy pant legs. So there's 2 seams, right? Because it's 3 panels per front of the pants. And so on this second seam right here, I really want to add some kind of like tassels. So I'll show you what inspired me. I was actually considering, my mom's friend gave me this fabric and I was actually considering using it for like the whole jumpsuit, but it honestly kind of feels like linen blend maybe, but it's really lightweight. It's got this cool bird pattern on it, but it's too sheer. I think you could like see right through it. So I'd have to like do a whole second layer underneath, and I think it might be too busy for a formal wedding. I don't know. So I opted against using it as a final fabric. But what it does have on it, randomly, it has these little tassels hanging off the edge that kind of, you know, jiggle. Dance around and stuff, and that really inspired me. It's like a fabric and bead, basically. It's like a little fabric cone strung onto some beads on each one, and I thought, how cool would that look like on my pants? So I'm gonna do my trick. I'm gonna stand on my chair for a little fashion show moment. I was thinking, like, if I could do a row of tassels on the pants, and then it would really kind of like add to the epicness and the flow. And I dance hard at weddings. I like to dance hard anywhere that there's dancing. I really love dancing, like a full-on buffoon. And so I think anything I can do that kind of makes me feel like I got extra like oomph and like body movement makes me feel happy. So that's something I want to incorporate. So I might have to make more or just completely make my own. I have beads, and what I want to do is incorporate this gold trim right here, because like I said, with my gray jumpsuit, I kind of want to do like gold accents on it. And so I'll probably do my little fabric cones on my tassels with the gold, and maybe I'll try some blue mixed in. I don't know. We'll see. But I think that'll be really fun. Oh, I'm making a mess. The other things I'm kind of considering is like, where could I add some more embellishments or hand stitching? Because like I said, I never get to do this on like my made to measure garments that are in my shop. I keep those pretty standard and clean, and this though, for myself and for kind of showing off the sewing pattern, I have so much opportunity to just do whatever I want. So I'm considering like doing maybe some hand stitching around the elastic waistband line. The elastic waist on this is very simple, very comfortable. It's not too tight. I have it so that it just basically is like sitting on your ribs. It's not like digging in or constricting. The measurement I have on it is just so it like is enough to give you a waistline, but it's not cutting in any further because I want it to be really comfy. It's nice and simple. It's like a 1-inch band here, but I'm just kind of wondering, like, you know, I'm going to have those tassels coming down. Is there anything sort of at the waistband, maybe little hand stitching coming up that could add some more texture, or even like little X's in the waistband? It's always that like fine line, right, between like something being subtle and like adding value versus kind of over the top and looking a little bit too crafty for what you want. So I'm gonna play around with it. Luckily, pretty much anything you know I add to the top here, I can always take out if I don't like it. I'm also considering adding like maybe little gold blanket stitch near the top of the neckline with some like gold embroidery floss. I'm not sure. Or like at the sleeve line, that could be cool. I also thought like tassels hanging off the sleeves. Ooh, let's look at that. You know, like, would little tassels hanging off the sleeve be fun? In addition to the tassels down the sides? Is that too many tassels? I feel like it's not. I feel like it's like boho fun texture. We'll see. I'll show you how it turns out eventually. Now, before we move any further with the rest of my creative projects for this spring, I just want to take a moment to really just remind you that this Sanctuary sewing pattern is coming soon. And if you love wearing earthy, elegant, and easy to wear clothes, you're definitely going to want to keep your eyes peeled over the next few weeks. I can't tell you all the details or the exact release date yet, but I genuinely feel like you're going to really love this one. The best way to stay in the loop about it is to hop onto my email list. You can find the link to that in the description below. And that's where I drop first looks and discounts and bonuses and all that fun stuff about my launches and my sewing patterns, stuff like that. So please do join me over there. I can't wait to chat with you and send you little love notes. Okay, so as you can see with the Sanctuary sewing pattern, I feel like there's so much space for adding embellishments. And because I want to really explore that further on this design, I'm thinking about capturing that maybe in like a video tutorial, trying like a bunch of different stuff myself, and then sort of making a video about it that might be like an add-on for people who purchase the sewing pattern, or even just like a little short course in itself. Maybe I'll incorporate ideas that you could add to any of my designs. But I'm also wary of like, launching a sewing pattern is so much work, and I have so much to do. So worst case scenario, I'll probably at least make like a fun Pinterest board or something with my ideas, or like a photo gallery or a blog post, or we'll see. We'll see what I cook it into. But I think like an embellishments, hand embellishments on linen course, or like ways to just add richness and texture and uniqueness and like that magic touch to a garment, and really like feel like it's one of a kind and yours, and do it in a way that's tasteful and design forward, I think is like super valuable and could make for some really interesting clothes. So anyway, that's something I'm thinking about, something I'm cooking on. And then outside of this lovely jumpsuit pattern, I am working on other things as well. After the jumpsuit pattern launches, I'm going to have a spring collection launch, and that'll be like my clothes, right? My made-to-measure garments for people who want to shop clothes handmade by me. I launch a collection like once a year at this point, usually in the spring. I used to do like 2, 3, 4 collections a year, and that was like overwhelming. And I've gotten kind of to the point where I'd rather just like do one really good, well-made, well-designed collection per year. And because I'm building my sewing pattern arsenal as well, so I need time for that, yada yada. It's all balancing. But for that clothing collection, I'm probably gonna launch it like in May. And so I'm starting to think about what clothing designs I wanna do for that. And if you're just here for the patterns, like, do note that like almost all my designs are eventually going to turn into patterns. So down the line, this clothing collection will turn into sewing patterns that you could DIY. I also encourage you to shop my clothing store. Support your favorite maker girl. But for the designs for the spring collection, they're still nascent. It's still new. My main source of inspiration is usually just like, what am I lacking in my own closet? What do I wish I had? And thinking, first of all, can that be done in linen? Because that's like the fun box of a challenge that I've put myself in. That's the constraints on my creativity that I love, is thinking, can I make this in linen? Can I make it beautiful? Because as you know, if you sew at all, different garments, I'd say, do better in different fabrics. So like a raincoat is a certain fabric for a reason. It's a little bit water repellent. Your underwear, feels a certain way. You want it in a certain fabric. Yeah, and then I think things like blouses and pants feel amazing in linen. Sometimes I try and push the boundaries a little bit with linen, like formal wear, Anyway, all that to say, I am thinking about what I want to do, and what's lacking in my closet right now is clothes to wear to my yoga classes. And honestly, that just means also shorthand for like clothes to lounge in, because it's just like comfy, flowy clothes. But basically, like, I go to my yoga classes and the girls there are always in like super skin tight, like elastic polyester yoga pant leggings, and then like same thing, just like cinched in super tight tank top. And I'm like, it looks so uncomfortable. It's so restricting. I've tried wearing yoga pants a few times and like the tight tank tops, and I just can't wait to get them off my body. I'm just like, get off this. I feel so hot and restricted, and it just feels like wearing the world's most uncomfortable bra all over your whole body. So needless to say, I'm not a fan, and I like to wear more just like flowy clothes to yoga, or like, if anything, on my top, kind of like a cotton ribbed knit, like kind of, no one calls it wife beater anymore, but you know what I'm saying, tank top situation. That's what I like to wear, and then like flowy pants. And one of my favorite pairs of flowy pants I got on a trip to Indonesia. Let's see if I can get them in the shot. If I go all the way back. Basically, you can kind of see they've got like a stretchy waist, and then they've got a super dropped crotch. And they're just like nice and billowy and flowy, super lightweight. And what I like about them is it doesn't feel like I'm wearing much of anything. They don't stick to my body in any way. And I actually think they look kind of fun and cute and boho. Like, I like this look. I think it looks like relaxed and cool. And I love them. I loved them to death. I overwore them. But there's definitely some things I want to change about them if I were to remake them using my linen. And I would use like a lightweight linen for these, because it's so much fabric. I don't want it to like feel heavy or weighed down at all. Part of the point is that it feels like I'm not wearing pants, which, best case scenario. Oh, other good part about these is like they never stick to your butt, and so I can wear literally any underwear. Like, I wear my boyfriend's boxers under these, like boxer brief underwears, you know what I mean? And it's like there's no fear of underwear lines or stuff like that, because it's just like a fluid situation. But there are a few things I would definitely do differently if I try and make them. I think like, so the waistband and the ankles, they have this situation which I know you guys know what this is. I can't for the life of me remember what it's called, but it's where you use like an elastic thread basically. It's not ruching, I forget, whatever. That's super comfy because there's no like one main point of like it touching your skin. It's kind of dispersed over like 5 inches here at the top. But what I dislike about that is I don't think it's very durable. Like this elastic thread over the years, let me find a good spot. Like this elastic thread over the years is just like coming apart and feels hard to mend and fix, and that annoys me. So I think I would try and figure out a different way to achieve that stretchiness at the waist and the ankles. I'm not totally sure how I want to do that yet. I mean, I still will probably use some little bits of elastic, or maybe like elastic combined with a button. I don't know. I don't know yet, but I could see myself changing that part of it. And then another thing I don't like about these pants is I think the pattern is pretty, but the color is kind of obnoxious. And it's kind of hard to like match this and wear it out in public. Like they're already such a unique design. They're not just like a normal pant. And with this bright of a color, I kind of look like a goober when I walk around in them, and they're so comfy. I want to wear them everywhere. So I would love to make a pair that's in a much more subtle, like, you know, like all my earth tones. I think that'll be really nice. So that's something I'm thinking about. Now, whether these pants end up in the spring collection or not, I don't know. That depends on how well my sampling goes. That's a ways away, but I just want to let you know that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I don't know how I would do the yoga top, because I do feel like when I'm doing like down dog in yoga, my top, you know, you're like upside down, and if you're wearing like a flowy linen top, you'd like fly up and your boobs would be flying in the breeze. And I don't like wearing a bra to yoga either. I don't like wearing a bra ever, if you can tell. I have sensory, I just don't like it. And so I am kind of thinking if I was going to make a yoga top, maybe I would do an organic cotton, a stretchy organic cotton that is like tight to your body, but not like cinching you into a bra kind of tight. Something that's just like smooth and lined, maybe with cotton, like double layered. I don't know. I'm going to play around with that. I'm also thinking about like jackets or robes or some kind of like long sleeve tunic. I don't know. I'm going to be cooking on it. All right. And then last sort of show and tell item that I have for us today is I'm thinking about incorporating some new fabrics maybe into my offerings at Charlie Darwin. So this would be something that I would offer for my made-to-measure clothing, for my sewing kits, and for just fabric sold by the yard that you could get on my website. So a fabric manufacturer recently reached out to me via email and asked if they could send me some samples. And it was like, yes, sure. Here's what I'm kind of looking for, kind of interested in. I said, I'm not looking for any like commercially dyed stuff, and they don't do plant dyed. So I was kind of like, anything you've got in undyed or bleached or some kind of mix of that, linen, I'd be interested in some samples. And for the first time, I'm considering doing, because like normally I just have like solid colors, right? I've never done any prints or anything. And I kind of want to try it a little bit. So they sent me some samples of like, it's not a print. What's a better word for this? You know, like a pattern, not just solid. I'm going to call it a pattern. Anyway, so we've got this sort of checker look in different widths. What do you call this? Gingham? Plaid? I forget. What's the word? Anyway, and then we've got stripes in different widths. Okay, so the ones that I'm considering are this is the thinnest stripe under here, and I think that's too thin. Like you can't even tell You can't even like see that it's stripes from further away. I really like this little bit bigger stripe. I think the next biggest stripe is like kind of getting in aggressive territory. And the really big stripe is like, boom, like, you know. And then same thing with these. I think like too big of checks, you get tablecloth energy. Don't necessarily want to go that big. I think I liked this one and this one. I think they just add a cool feel. So I'm going to inquire about those two. Another one I really liked was like this thicker linen. I don't know if it can come across on camera, but it's a little bit like thicker, but it's super soft. Like I've tried thicker linens before, but they're usually kind of like scratchy. And this one has just like, I think, a beautiful weave to it. And it's just so soft and pliable. I'm gonna wear it as a sweatshirt or something. I love it. Okay, so let me know also on this in the comments what do you think about sort of like, what are you interested in? Any of these, you know, wet your whistle? Is that the right word, the right phrase? Any of these catch your eye? Do you agree with me on the ones that I picked? Do you like bigger, bolder? Tell me what you think. All right, so those are sort of all of the like physical, tangible, material things I'm working on this next few months. And in the more headspace mindset sort of world, I am going to be working on and have been working on trying to curate this like sense of cozy confidence. It's something I've been really craving, and I kind of came up with this unique combo of needing cozy confidence because I guess like ultimately if I think about what I needed towards the end of last year was like my body has just been hurting. So I think I'm like holding a lot of tension in my body. I'm not paying attention to myself. So as I mentioned earlier in this video a million times, I'm a little bit sensitive to physical stimuli. I don't want to feel as achy, and I also want to feel good and excited and optimistic. So optimism is kind of like a side quest here in this springtime season, which is hard with how disgusting it is outside, but we're keeping the hope alive. What this looks like, the cozy confidence practically, is that I curate coziness for myself. That means tuning into my body. So like thinking about, are my hands cold? Let's drink some tea. Am I feeling overstimulated? Let's take a breather. Let's walk around a little bit. Am I thirsty? Let's drink some water. Let's just like get cozy. Like let's, you know, feel good during the day. Let's enjoy our days. I sound psychotic, but you get what I'm saying. And then I also just want to feel confident that it's okay to be cozy. It's okay to spend time being cozy. And confident that this year will unfold, and of course it will unfold, but feel confident that my business will keep growing, and that, you know, I've been trying to buy a house for a while. That didn't work last year, but like feeling confidence that like the things I want will unfold over time when I'm ready for them, or like, you know, when the time's right. Yeah, and I think that means not necessarily being a passive backseat person, because I'm a very active, I want the thing, I want to do it, I want it to happen right now kind of person. I'm still going to work really hard for all of those things and do a lot of research and try and up-level my business and blah, blah, blah. But just do it with a little bit more from a place of confidence, not fear. And confidence that I am doing the right things right here, right now, and that I have enough right here, right now, all that. Okay, so that's confidence. What this looks like for me this year is it has a lot to do with my schedule, and I'm trying to plan. I'm looking over at my whiteboard right now because I kind of have this big on my whiteboard, at least for the start of the year, I want to have more calm launches of my products for my business. And that just means maybe like start the planning earlier, use more templates and systems for myself that are like repeatable and kind of easier to implement, and take some of the weight off of having stressful launches. And I also want to launch new products maybe a little bit less frequently, but with the hopes of having higher results per launch. So like just putting in the work instead of doing like a half-baked marketing plan to do more launches, do like a really good, thoughtful, thorough job at really like letting my creations shine out in the world and showing you exactly how I can help you. And yeah, so all that, I want to have a little bit less packed schedule. I want to pull things onto my schedule as I have new time open up. I pull in a new task instead of pushing a bunch of stuff into my schedule and not completing it every day and just pushing it further and further forward and feeling more and more behind. Instead, I want to start with an empty schedule and pull things into it as my time opens up. I've been ending all of my days around 5 or 5:30 p.m. That's a huge help. Then I go on a walk and kind of reflect on the day. I'm hoping all this also creates a little bit more space for me to have better audience growth, like here on YouTube and on my email newsletter, to be able to connect with you more. Even if that doesn't mean every single week I post a YouTube video, it does mean that like I consistently am showing up and feeling good when I do post the YouTube video maybe every 2 weeks. So yeah, you can see that the mindset has a lot to do with kind of like my scheduling and my perception of time this year. And I'm excited to see how at the end of the year I look back and maybe how things have shifted for me as compared to how I felt at the end of last year. I am feeling renewed energy this year, good energy about a lot of my projects, and even on days where I'm feeling low, where of course there are plenty of days where I'm feeling low energy and blah, and what's the point? It's all stupid. I am kind of working on new coping mechanisms, switching things up on sort of sitting with those moments and getting through them, and finding my cozy confidence and little reminders for myself, little tidbits and breadcrumbs that kind of spark joy and get me re-excited about something, and taking rest when I need it. So yeah, okay, this has been a long rambling chat. I hope it's been enjoyable for you to listen to. If you made it this far, it must have been pretty enjoyable. Just remember that this new Sanctuary Jumpsuit pattern is coming soon. It should be launching around mid-March, I'm hoping. And it's gonna be perfect for you if you love making earthy, elegant, flowy, easy to wear clothes. You're looking for kind of like a formal jumpsuit kind of vibe. Something epic, something dramatic, something where you can have one pattern that you can use over and over again to make very different designs. So it's gonna really stretch your wardrobe even further. For all that, you're definitely just gonna wanna keep your eyes peeled over the next few weeks. Join my email newsletter. That's where I'm gonna send more updates and get you a little bit of a discount on that pattern when it launches, and just fully see a little bit more behind the scenes of what I do here and what I'm getting excited about, and some sewing tips and tricks. All right, that's it. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing here, my friend? Subscribe to my channel, and that way you'll see my new videos when they come out. Like this video if you haven't already. That helps, show it to more people and makes me feel loved. Dang it. I just want to feel loved. And leave a comment. That makes me feel loved too. Even just like a little heart. I know. It's attention grabbing. What am I doing here? Okay, I'm getting embarrassing and cheesy and stupid. I always get weird at the end of videos. I don't know what to say or do. I'm bad at wrapping up. This is me. If you met me in real life when we were having a conversation and we were like leaving, like we had lunch together and I'm walking out, you're walking out, I would say bye in like 10 different ways because I don't know how to end things. So that's me doing that right now. Okay, hopefully editor me is just gonna cut me off right now.